Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Corner Booth podcast, episode 211. I am, of course, your host, Jerry. Savannah is coming back off vacation. Jeffrey has the day off, and Matt, our newest guy, is still getting his work schedule in. So I'm running solo, except I have a special guest today. Belly Up Sports draft expert, one of my good friends, and new parent. Congratulations to my man Yuke, back once again to talk all things NFL draft with me. Um, and I promise, folks, this episode probably won't go 2 hours because as much as I think I'll go on tangents, I'm alert enough right now where I can keep us on track. But Yuke, man, welcome back, brother. How you feeling?
Thank you, man. I'm good. Like you said, being a new father is definitely exciting. I just had a little baby girl, so get to be the hashtag girl dad. So it's good times, good times.
It's fun now, but when just ask my old man, who's my little sister's just turns 25 in about a month. Ask my old man how that's gonna go. It's okay. You have a long time to deal with that stuff. Of course, by the way, that's where the shades on. This amazing show is brought to you by our great friends at YeatsOfficial.com. Promo code Korner Booth for 10% off. These shades are perfect for the summer months coming up as well. I mean, it was like 70 degrees over here in Connecticut today. It feels great. After I woke up this morning, it was 49 degrees and raining sideways, and I literally went to go get my watches fixed while I was getting ready for the show, and literally it's sunny. I have the sunroof open, everything feels great. I'm just like, oh my god, it's amazing the weather today. But either way, these shades are basically indestructible. They're Jared proof. Let's just put it that way. You can't beat this. Polarized, awesome stuff. 1,000 different types of styles. And they're our best sponsor. So we appreciate them so much. Korner Booth for 10% off. All righty. It's been honestly a very slow week. And I was driving. Yeah, I guess I was driving home before. And I said, knowing my luck, we are going to get a huge headline within, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of the show starting. I mean, we sort of got a headline, but it's a developing story, so I don't want to touch it yet. But all I'll say is the House Oversight Committee, yes, that's the big boys on Capitol Hill. They're accusing Washington of potentially unlawful financial conduct. That's so. Say what you want about the United States government, right? But I'm kind of scared if they think this is sketchy. That's some serious shit. And Washington itself is just the sketchiest sports organization in ever, especially with Dan Snyder. I don't even know how. There was somebody there on McAfee a few weeks back. It was the only reason that what's his face Snyder still has his team is because he's Goodell's boy. Which the fact that that's even a rumor is just horrifying. But either way, some sad news over the weekend. Obviously, Dwayne Haskins, former Ohio State quarterback and former Washington football team. Now Washington Commanders quarterback and now current Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback was struck by a dump truck on the highway in Miami down in Florida this weekend. It sucks, and especially because he dude turned 25 like a couple weeks ago, or was turning 25, way too young, and just a tragic backstory. I'm not going to go into the whole Adam Schefter and that other loser from Pittsburgh radio who were talking smack. I hate those guys. They're the worst. The fact that basically what Adam Schefter tweeted was totally just classless. You want to see what is tweeted out? Our good friend of the show, my co-host Savannah Dean, she screenshot it and posted it on her Twitter. A lot of people did. A lot of people ripped him apart for it. And you know what? Say what you want about Shefty. I'm not his biggest fan at all. Everyone knows that who listens to this show. It's just for me, it sucks. It sucks for the Haskins family. It sucks for the Pittsburgh organization. The video of Chase Claypool crying his eyes out on TikTok was just heartbreaking. And, unfortunately, Haskins, I'm not going to rip the kid because he just passed away. Yeah, he had his issues on and off the field, but he still was a very talented kid. And he honestly was probably getting his life turned around. He may have had some slip-ups here and there, but, then again, we're all human, right? So it sucks. And thoughts and prayers to the Haskins family and to the Steelers, his teammates, and anybody associated with him.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah,
I just want to touch on that for a second. It's
yeah.
obviously, prayers out to the family. It's terrible when someone dies that young. But I think that obviously not to get like too, I guess you would call it political, but I feel like the fact of what Adam Schefter said, it kind of took away, like it overshadowed what Gil Brandt said. I don't know if anyone heard that. What
I
Adam Schefter says is a little classless, but Gil Brandt was
yeah,
just like next level. How does those words even come out of your mouth? I don't know if you heard what he said, but he was basically saying the guy, he opened with it, and it wasn't even like it was taken out of context, but he said the words, he was living to die, as in like he wasn't taking things seriously, and he was slacking off, and he was making people upset, and he then turned that into saying the sentence, he was living to die. I was just something like, I'm definitely not a part of like whole cancel culture or anything, but I could not believe hearing those words come out of a person's mouth about someone who was killed at a young age. I was shocked.
I heard it. So I was leaving my sister and my brother-in-law's house yesterday. I went and had dinner with them, and I was listening to McAfee's Monday show on the way back, and they were talking about this, and they said basically like the whole cancel culture thing sucks, but it's like, why are you even hitting this guy up for a comment on this? Because you know something like this is going to come out of his mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time I've heard Gil Brandt talk about anything, it's always something fucking offensive. And you guys know me. I do not have a PC bone in my body. I basically run by the motto, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Sticks and stones might break my bones, but that shit's not offensive. Shut up.
I
Like
appreciate it. I
that.
appreciate it.
But like, there are some lines you don't cross. Obviously, you don't say anything fucking racist. You don't say anything that's like extreme. You don't say anything that's like really offensively homophobic. You don't say anything that's extremely sad. Like, if I've heard, like I live with like my family, they make jokes about men, women, whatever. It's all the time. It's like I hear my sister make like women like sexist jokes about men and women all the time. It's hysterical, but it's like something you don't say in public. Same thing with like it's never in bad taste. With Gil Brandt, I've never ever heard him in the news. I only really know who he is because I've heard of him before because of him saying offensive shit. So yes, Dwayne Haskins did make mistakes in his life, but it just takes one season to turn that around. Look at Michael Vick.
Yeah.
Dude went to fucking prison, had a great 4-year run in Philadelphia, and is now, I wouldn't say America's sweetheart, but he's definitely one of the more liked Fox football commentators right now. Like when you see Michael Vick on the street, he's like one of the more well-liked NFL guys. His reputation's healed a little bit. So
yeah, people make mistakes. Not so crazy.
yeah, exactly. I think that's the whole point here, and that's why I think the whole Gil Brandt thing's fucking stupid because it annoys me because I'm sitting there like reading this and I'm like, dude, he just gives all journalists a bad name. It's like it's the same thing with the old school guys who just can't have anything good to say about anybody at this point. So unfortunately, that's kind of what we're stuck with at this point. But besides that, I mean, news broke yesterday that like apparently the Honey Badger and the Philadelphia Eagles could very possibly happen this week. I am not buying it until the contract is signed, okay? As much as I would love for the Honey Badger to be in Eagles green, I am still not buying it until it happens because, we're literally, everybody apparently is going to Philadelphia if you ask Eagles media. But when Ian Rappaport says something that's possible, then I start sniffing around a little bit.
Yeah, Philadelphia is stealing Tyrann Mathieu off of the free agent market right now, this late in the process. I feel like that would be just like a steal. That would be crazy. He would be so impactful for their defense. He would slide in perfectly in their safety spot. Like that would be such a great fit. They would probably be the NFC East favorites for sure.
My biggest thing with this is the Eagles have Anthony Harris, who honestly played very well last year in this free safety role. They have Marcus Epps, who honestly in a starting role might be a great player in Philadelphia. We just don't know. He's very unproven. Getting Mathieu, even just to kind of play that striker position that we had with Malcolm Jenkins on our Super Bowl run teams, and having Marcus Epps and Anthony Harris play deep, I'm okay with it. I really am. So, because in all honesty, the Eagles basically only have one or two linebackers in the field at all times. Most of the time, it's 4 down linemen and a bunch of individual different players. But I am totally for Honey Badger because I feel like Jonathan Gannon would just look at him and Hassan Reddick like, oh my God, look at all these multiple moving pieces I can move around. So, that would make me happy.
You could always scheme a defense around these hybrid guys for sure.
Oh my God, I love hybrid. Listen, even when we did my Madden franchise back when me and my friends did it over the pandemic, I ran a hybrid style defense. Every guy could play 3 different positions
So
because
fun. That's
Dude,
so
are you
fun.
kidding me? It messes with people. They don't know how to scheme for it. So I just love it from like the strategic point of it. But all right, without further ado, we're gonna do our mock draft. The rules are simple, boys and girls. Me and you each get about 2.5 sentences to describe our pick once we make them. Each of us make our pick. Yuke will lead off with 1. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, blah, blah. We'll keep all the way on 32. And after the first round is over, who scores the best? I think I'm like, we may have to do some little competition based off who scores better. I mean, then again, I've always never shot better than 60% in the NFL draft last year. I shot maybe 58 last year. I think my best year was 16. I shot 65%. But like,
Wait, what do you mean shot 65? Like you built a mock draft and 65% of it was correct after the fact?
The first round, yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah, I know. It was
That's
my
a lot.
junior year
That's
of high
high,
school.
man.
That's high, right? But like usually I shoot around 50%, 55. That's usually the range I hit with because teams are predictable. But so my sister was over last night and she was, doing laundry because I have a laundry machine at my house and she doesn't have hers. So she's like, started laundry and she's like, why are you freaking out? I was doing a mock draft. I'm like, because mock drafts would be a lot easier if teams weren't run like freaking crazy. She goes, what do you mean? I'm like, I know you're not a big football fan, but like if every team drafted sanely, like a lot of these, like, the Jets are taking Sauce Gardner for. Everybody knows it. They basically plastered it on the walls. But then you have the Washington, Seattles, you have the Detroits of the world who are going to throw a monkey wrench into this. And when you're doing a mock, you want to be right all the time. So for me, my biggest thing is that I want people to get an accurate view from us because you are the closest thing Belly Up's ever had to a draft expert. I like to think of myself as a draft analyst, but I'm not accurate all the time. Half these they're called a mock draft for a reason. So, but it's an ego thing that I want to get stuff wrong. So, without further ado, Mr. You are on the clock. At number 1, the Jacksonville Jaguars select.
Got to be Aiden Hutchinson. I feel like that's a shoe. And I mean, there's recently, especially, there's a lot of buzz about Trayvon Walker, but Trayvon Walker cannot turn around their defense the way Aiden Hutchinson can turn around their defense. Everyone's talking about Trayvon Walker's athleticism, but let's not forget Aiden Hutchinson ran over the 90th percentile in like almost all of his combine drills. This guy is also a freak athlete, and he was way more productive, and he's way more just fundamental to a defense, just a culture changer. I feel like it's got to be Aiden Hutchinson here.
I am not. I am buying everyone. Unfortunately, there's no good lineman for Jacksonville take. I think a lineman for Jacksonville will make so much sense, but Evan Neal or Ekweamu going that high just to me makes no sense.
Yeah, especially after they franchise tag Cam Robinson, then they kind of like played their chips there that they're not drafting a left tackle.
I'm like Doug, what are you up to down there? Like I'm like trying to understand in my head. I am also taking Aiden Hutchinson as well. We've been being told the entire offseason that he's the number 1 pick in this draft.
He's the best player in this draft too.
As much as like I've heard rumblings about Trayvon Walker and Kayvon Thibodeau, it's one of the 3. A defensive end is going first overall. Put your money on it now. It's gonna happen. Like one of those 3 is gonna go. There's no like. Jacksonville's not going to trade out, and Malik Willis ain't going number 1, even though if that happened, they'd be hysterical. I actually don't know if Malik Willis going any higher than 13 or 14. Like, I have a team trading up to get him. But, yeah, no, I have Aiden Hutchinson as well. Best overall pick in the draft. He's the most game-ready edge rusher. Where it's like with Walker might be next Myles Garrett, but he's going to be really – Trayvon Walker's pro comp to me is Josh Sweat, where he's going to need a year or 2 to get himself together. But once he gets himself together, hopefully no injuries, is going to be a force. I watched Josh Sweat shove 2 Jets linemen into each other and get a sack. And I said, okay, okay, this guy was worth the 4th-round pick we spent on him. But, yeah, so I have Aiden Hutchinson as well. I guess I have the number 2 pick. With the second pick in the NFL draft, I have the Detroit Lions taking Kayvon Thibodeau. Now, hear me out. I know they want a quarterback. Jared Goff is going to be there next year. They're not getting rid of him. Here's why they take Thibodeau. The upside for Thibodeau is just as high as Walker's. He's more game ready. And Dan Campbell is ready to take on a personality like that. And he's a big enough name where it'll shut Lions management up too. And honestly, with Thibodeau, he doesn't even have to be an all like league defensive end. He just has to be maybe a Pro Bowler too. He has to basically be what Clowney's turned into, where he's got a couple big plays, plays well occasionally, and is a good rotation guy. And the Lions will get their money's worth out of him. So I have the Lions taking on that personality. The one thing about Thibodeau I worry about is the fact that he rarely relies on pass rush moves. And in the NFL, that won't fly. So hopefully Mr. Biting Kneecaps himself will hopefully turn that around for him. Who do you got for the Lions taking it to?
So I'm going a similar direction. You went edge. I'm also going to go edge. I'm going to go Trayvon Walker. Now, I don't think that this is a great pick, but I do think that this is what's going to happen. I definitely think Hutchinson's going to go 1, but I don't think Trayvon Walker is going to fall past 2. I think it's early for him because he didn't have the production in college, and he's going to be transferring from a 5-tech to a pure edge rusher, moving to the NFL. So he's not only is he a projection production wise, but also he's a projection in terms of his position switch. But at the end of the day, there's very few people who have the raw athleticism that Trayvon Walker has. And at the end of the day, there are a lot of reasons why that you can, excuse away why he wasn't as productive. And I just feel like his ceiling is higher than a Kayvon Thibodeau, and especially a team like the Lions, who aren't in a win now mode and aren't even a piece away from making the playoffs. There's someone who could afford to take a year and try to develop a Trayvon Walker and hope that he can turn in to maybe the best edge rusher in this class, to come out of this class.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. I do think only because the NFC North is so weak now, like the Vikings got worse. The Bears stayed bad. The Packers got worse. Yeah. So the Lions, the only team that improved. And honestly, they only lost about 4 or 5 games by more than a touchdown. I also looked at the record. They easily could go 10-7 next year because how easy their 4th place schedule is. So don't be surprised if old Motor City Dan Campbell, if he gets the quarterback who I think they're taking at 32, they do okay. I think that if they take the guy who I think, and you're high on this guy, by the way, you were gushing about this guy during our draft, when we did our positional round.
Now I know who it is. I won't spoil it, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you know exactly who I'm talking about because I love this kid too because all he does is win. But that's the key word here if you've listened to this show. But at 32, I have this man going to Detroit, and it's going to make it fun. At 3, it's not hard. We know what the Texans are doing. They're taking Evan Neal. He's the best offensive lineman on the board. They're not taking a safety. Stop it, okay? They can go get there's 4 good safeties that you could spend a 2nd or 3rd round pick on later in the draft. Evan Neal is going to be ready to play left tackle tomorrow. And honestly, they got to figure out some way to see if Davis Mills is going to be a good quarterback or not. Because like Peter Schrager said, they are basically an expansion team again. They are figuring out how to start their franchise over. They have a couple decent receivers. They have a quarterback who might be good. We don't know. I like Davis Mills on tape, honestly. I do. I really love his tape. But get him some protection. They have decent running back core, too. It's a bunch of misfit toys, but still it can move the ball. They won 4 games last year with a duct tape level offense. Get some blocking. We'll see what they can do. I think Evan Neal's the perfect fit here.
That's interesting. Evan Neal's not a bad pick, but I'm actually going to go with Ike Ekwonu, so it's close.
Okay, so you and me are split on the tackles. I forgot about this.
Yeah. So I think that Ike Ekwonu showed enough of his just insane potential at the combine, in his tape and things like that. Obviously, he has some room to improve as a pass protector, but I think that the key here is I was listening to this a PFF podcast called Stock Exchange, where they were doing this guest mock draft where they bring on all these guests, these guys who are insiders in NFL teams, and they come and they make the picks and they go pick by pick with these like NFL insiders. So the guy that they brought on for the Texas pick was John McClain, who's been in the industry for over 40 years. And the one thing that he kept saying, and he didn't actually make the pick of Ike Ekwonu, but the one thing he kept saying is that the Texans need to improve on their run blocking and on their rushing offense. And that was a big thing. And I think that Ike Ekwonu is easily the best run blocker in this draft. So I feel like that would be a big thing for them. They want to go for this guy who's a bully, someone who can just turn around their offensive line, just be nasty for them. I feel like that's Ekwonu.
I think the thing is either way they're going tackle. It's just how smart is the Texans front office. That's really what this pick comes down to.
It could be defense. I wouldn't rule out defense, but just because they have so many needs on their team, and I feel like there are at least 4 defenders who are better than all of the tackles in this class.
Yeah,
So at pick 3, I wouldn't be surprised if they go defense. It's just personally the way I see it. I feel like they go with Quan.
fair enough. All righty. Number 4. If you don't have this as their pick, also if they don't take this as their pick, they're idiots. The Jets getting possibly, in my opinion, the best like overall player in this draft. I think Sauce Gardner is going to be a multi-time Pro Bowler. There's nothing wrong with this kid. Everything. What do we say during our draft show? When you go through the check boxes, he checks off everyone, but he's good at 8 or 9 of those checks. It's not like he's just a jack of all trades. He's actually good at things. That's Sauce Gardner. And also, his name's Ahmad, yes, but his nickname is Sauce. Can we just call him by Sauce? It's like, yeah, it says Ahmad Gardner here on the website I'm using. It's like, no, it's Sauce Gardner. He's the most badass.
He should legally change his name to Sauce.
Yeah, he should. It literally should change his name to Ahmad Dash Sauce Gardner or Sauce Ahmad Gardner or whatever's like my boy D Strange Gordon over in Washington. Literally, this is the longest name in baseball right now. Who you got the Jets taking it for? Am I barking up the right tree?
So I'll actually tell you, I love the pick with Sauce. That's not what I have, but I'll explain why. I've actually been following a lot of mock drafts recently, and I have not seen a lot of Sauce going to the top 4. And I agree with you. To me, he's a top 2 player in this draft. I have Hutchinson and then Sauce on my big board. The thing is with Sauce, for some reason, and I personally can't explain it, but there isn't that much hype about him. I hardly see him in mock drafts going as early as 4. And I think that the Jets, especially, I think one of the reasons for that is that as good as he is, the depth at corner is huge. The Jets could even go for corner in the early second round and get someone who's a quality starter for them, where if they go in a position like offensive tackle somewhere else, where positions like that in the second round, they won't be able to find someone who's a quality starter. So I just feel like the value addition of Sauce over whoever they get in the second round is not as big, especially if they wait till 10, they might even be able to get a guy like Derek Stingley. So I feel like they wouldn't jump the gun on Sauce at 4. So I have them picking Evan Neal. I feel like they are just trying to build around Zach Wilson as much as possible. And Evan Neal is probably the most versatile of the big 3 offensive linemen. And they have pieces that can move around there. They got Elijah Vera-Tucker, who keeps getting injured sometimes. Mekhi Becton, who keeps getting injured. George Fant, who they really like at right tackle, but he could slide into left tackle. And having a guy who's versatile like Evan Neal, they would be able to move him around and kind of decide what they feel like is their best offensive line formation to really build around Zach Wilson. So I feel like Evan Neal is a great pick here.
So the only reason because I want them to take tackle, I think if they take a tackle there, 1, it screws over the New York Giants, which makes me happy automatically. 2, if it wasn't for what Peter Schrager said, because he's one of the guys when they talk draft, I listen because he's got ears everywhere.
Yeah,
he's very tight with Bob Saleh and Joe Douglas, and when he says the talk around the building is Sauce Gardner, I listen. Also, listen, those Jets teams that made it to the playoffs with the defensive-minded coach, they had Revis.
Yeah.
And Sauce Gardner, I'm not saying he's going to be Revis, but this kid's got Revis-esque potential. So
I love Sauce for sure.
I watched his tape the other day just for fun again. I was like, Jesus Christ, this kid is nothing wrong. There's nothing this kid can't do. So I will defend my Sauce pick, but Evan Neal is what I would rather them do. What I think is going to happen is Sauce Gardner. Who do you got? Speaking of which, speaking of New York dumpster fires, who do you have the Giants taking at 5?
So here's the thing. I feel like this might be a little bit of a reach, but from what I hear, they're in love with Charles Cross. So I'm going to have them taking Charles Cross here. I feel like they could go other directions, but Charles Cross, for a bunch of big-time analysts, he's their offensive tackle 1. He's ahead of Neal, ahead of Ike Kwanu. And from what I hear, they really, really love a guy like Charles Cross, and they desperately need to build around Daniel Jones right now. I feel like they could go KT. I still have KT on the board. They could go a guy like Sauce. I still have Sauce on the board. Those would both be great fits. I'd be happy with that. I just feel like if they go anywhere other than offensive line, their entire fan base is going to lose their minds. So I just feel like from an organizational perspective and just from a perspective of maybe trying to see what Daniel Jones has, I feel like it has to be Charles Cross here.
See, my thing is, I agree with you. I think so. I'm going to go with Charles Cross as well, only because I think the Giants are going to panic. Well, I mean, so I still have Icky on the board, so I'm going to have them take Icky. But I see that's who I'm having them taking at 5. I have them taking Icky. But I totally agree. With all three with both offensive tackles off the point because they thought Icky was going to be there at 5, they're going to panic and reach on cross, which is going to cost them the better edge rusher. A la, they might have to settle for Jermaine Johnson or even Kostofsis if somehow Johnson's not there at 10, which is very possible.
10, they have 7.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, 7. Sorry, brain fart.
They could probably get them both.
Yeah, no, they might get either or. But yeah, no, they wouldn't go both edge rushers. But you just so at 6. You know what? What sucks about this? This is so funny, right? Because it's the Panthers, and generally when we go into these drafts, and this is the 5th draft I've covered, and the 4th I've covered for Belly Up, and the 5th I've covered intensely. The biggest thing for me is when I cover these drafts, every single time there is one team that projects the quarterback they're going to take, and they take it. Mid-round, first, does not matter. They're going to take him. And the Panthers, every story I've heard is they want Kenny Pickett. Even if he's not even the best quarterback on the board, they're going to take him at 6 because he's the most game ready. And they know they can't send Sam Darnold out there. They know they can't send the ghost of Cam Newton. Women can't cook. Newton. Who said that? I had to say it once. That's what he said in a podcast, folks. It was not me who said that. He said something else. I'm making fun of him, obviously. And they can't send PJ Walker because it's at the XFL. So my biggest thing is
stud in the XFL.
Oh my God, he was disgusting. He was running away with the MVP. Yeah. Kenny Pickett. I am not the biggest Kenny Pickett fan. You guys all know this. Yuke knows this. Am I gonna love watching the chaos ensue that follows when Kenny Pickett is Nathan Peterman 2.0? Yes, but here's my thing about Kenny Heisman, is my boy Sawyer, who's a pick I used to call him. He's gonna be okay, and he is DJ Moore, who I don't care. Braylon Addison's a great receiver, man, but he ain't no DJ Moore. DJ Moore is a whole new level, and they have, for now, Christian McCaffrey, which I didn't think was still possible, but they do. For now, draft day, we'll see. But right now, I think Pickett to the Panthers just makes way too much sense with what we've been hearing. It's like the whole where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, for sure. So interestingly, I actually have Pickett also here. So this is probably, other than Aiden Hutchinson, the first pick we agree on. Now, I'm with you on this. It's, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that even something that some people might be missing as to the reasoning here is that Matt Rule and Kenny Pickett have ties back to the Temple days, where Matt Rule was in Temple and Kenny Pickett had originally committed to Temple because he wanted to come and play for Matt Rule. And then eventually he got flipped to Pittsburgh. But they have some ties. They have, they go back a little bit. And I feel like, especially with the coach, trying to get the quarterback, there's the familiarity is going to play in a lot here. So that's first of all. And I feel like the second reason is just that, especially Matt Rule, and I think even Scott Fitterer, the general manager, they're looking to keep their jobs. And the best way to keep their jobs is to take the quarterback who they believe is the most pro-ready. And according to most analysts, that's Kenny Pickett. Now, obviously, I disagree. I'm with you in this camp where Kenny Pickett is my QB 6. He's behind even Carson Strong. So I'm very, very low on Kenny Pickett. But I just feel like, with all the buzz around, Kenny Pickett still being maybe the QB1 or the QB2 and the ties that go back, I feel like the Kenny Pickett, they're going to pick Kenny Pickett. I don't like it, but they're going to pick Kenny Pickett here.
Okay, so we're on the same page here. 7 with New York, the second pick. This gets weird to me. Their 2 top needs are edge rusher and safety. And you still have Trayvon Walker and Kyle Hamilton. So I basically just did a mental coin flip in my head. I'd rather them take Hamilton because I have a weird feeling that he's either going to be a Hall of Fame level safety or be a complete bust. And they just lost Jabril Peppers. So my mental thing is like, do they take a safety this early? It's like, no, they're going to go and they're going to take Trayvon Walker at 5, who's like the 5th best prospect, at least according to this website and myself. They're going to take Trayvon Walker at 7. They know there were 2 Super Bowls when they won. They had OCJ Tuck, Strahan, JPP. They won Super Bowls when they were able to get after the quarterback, and they think they can do a year away with Trayvon Walker. Do I think that's going to happen? It's the New York Giants, so probably not, but that would be the smart pick.
Yeah, very interesting. So I feel like with my pick, and this might shock you a little bit, I'm going to pull trade here. And this is where I feel like the Saints package both of their 2 picks and trade up. And maybe you have some later picks involved, but for now, we'll just for the first round, I'm going to say that the Saints package pick 16 and 19 and trade up with the Giants to get pick 7. And now the reason why I think they do that, there has been some buzz that the Saints are, just loading up on extra first round picks to take an offensive tackle and a wide receiver because they feel like with those two picks, with those two positions, they can make a run at the Super Bowl. But I can't imagine trading away your future first round pick next year. You never know what this year is going to hold, just to get an extra first round wide receiver. Like, that just doesn't seem likely. So I feel like they're going up for a quarterback. And the reason why I think it's this quarterback is I feel like the timing is a little bit telling. So I'm going to have them taking here, the Saints trade out to take Desmond Ridder. And I'll explain why. So the timing is very interesting. They made this trade about a week after all of a sudden people were blasting mock drafts of Falcons are going Desmond Ridder. Falcons are going Desmond Ridder. Now, up until now, everyone was mocking Desmond Ridder to the Saints, all the way down at their pick. I think it was pick 19 maybe. Pick 18. So all of a sudden they hear all these mock drafts of the Falcons, their division rivals, taking the quarterback that they want, and they panic. And they're like, we got to go and we got to get this guy. Now, they're not going to jump ahead of the Falcons right now pre-draft. That doesn't make any sense. Because if they do that, then what's to stop the Falcons from just, during the draft, jumping up themselves. So I feel like the smart move here is to load up on first round picks, and then they wait. And if 7 comes around and Desmond Ridder hasn't been selected yet, they package their 2 first round picks, jump up and get Desmond Ridder and get their guy. And then if for some crazy reason Desmond Ridder goes earlier, which I think we all know that that's not going to happen, then they still have 2 first round picks and have what to do with it. So I feel like that's just because of the timing with the Atlanta Falcons taking Desmond Ridder mock drafts, and that was the exact timing of their trade. I think they go Desmond Ridder.
So I agree with you in the sense that I think that's a possibility, but I don't think it's Desmond Ridder. I think if they're going to trade, they're going to go Willis.
One thing I forgot here actually is that they signed Marcus Mariota, who a lot of people say Desmond Ridder is a Marcus Mariota clone, which is interesting. They have very similar play styles. So I feel like they're thinking maybe after Desmond Ridder, he sits a little bit, maybe the first year, have Marcus Mariota run the offense and kind of teach Desmond Ridder how you place it. I mean, although Marcus Mariota wasn't a super successful quarterback, but teach him the ropes a little bit, given that they're similar play style. And then maybe there's a chance that he could develop Desmond Ridder into a good quarterback.
So at 7, you have the Saints trading up to take Desmond Ridder to get around the Falcons. Okay. I have him staying at 8. I have the Falcons saying, screw it. Let's see what we get out of Mariota. We're not getting our franchise guy this year. I think they're going to eat the salary cap this year. They're going to eat all the crap they got to take care of. And they are going to take an edge rusher at 8. They're going to take Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. They have not had an edge rusher since the dawn of time. Like, I think the ghost of Vic Beasley is the closest thing they've had to an edge rusher since John Abraham left. I'm not even sure. But
Jack McKinley too.
Yeah, okay. His most memorable moment to me is him with the picture of his mom or his aunt or grandma at the draft, which was awesome. But it's like he's just. But I just, with Jermaine Johnson, it just makes so much sense with the Falcons, and it's gonna. I think that's the only reason the Saints are going to move up, because they're going to know they're going to have almost till pick 12 to trade up now.
Yeah, that's big. I just want to point out, you have 4 edge rushers going in the top 8 picks.
Listen,
that is wild. There's
the 3 most valuable positions in football: blocking for the quarterback, and hitting the quarterback.
Yeah. Look, I get it for sure, but that's very interesting. I would be a bad pick taking Jermaine Johnson. They definitely need an edge rusher.
Oh, it's totally a reach too, because he should be going like around 14, 15, 16, 17, that range, talent-wise. But for need, this is a need draft. There's no bona fide talent guy except for maybe Hutchinson. And even then, this isn't like a star-studded draft. So this is a on-need draft. So I think there's going to be a lot less trades unless a surprise guy is taken. Whereas like last year, we saw the Giants trade back because their guy was Devontae Smith, and Philly and Dallas just gave New York the old double middle finger, made the trade. They're like, oh, we don't have our guy now. Let's trade back to 20-something to go get Kadarius Toney. Bust. And see what happens from there. I will talk about that later as well. I got yelled at by my co-host because he's a big Giants fan. I'm not the biggest Kadarius Toney supporter. Anyway, so at 8, who do you have the Atlanta Falcons panicking and taking now in your scenario?
So I'm with you on this 100%. I actually feel like when it comes to needs, the Falcons have needs everywhere, so they'll just take the best player available. Luckily for me, that actually fits very well with this need at edge rusher. Kayvon Thibodeau is still on the board for me at 8. So they are rushing in the card to select Kayvon Thibodeau. If he falls to 8, I feel like that is a slam dunk pick for the Falcons.
All right, I think it's so we both have edge rusher here. I think it's just the Falcons, like they have a number 1 corner in AJ Terrell, who took like a little extra time to get ready, but now he's a bona fide number 1 cornerback, which is great for them. They haven't had a number 1 corner in my recollection since D'Angelo Hall.
Yeah, it's a while ago.
So number 9, I originally had the Seahawks trading out. But because this guy in my scenario is falling as far as he does, they're going to say, screw it. We have a ton of picks. Let's go get Charles Cross at 9. Because they don't know what the hell they're doing at quarterback yet. But Charles Cross is a versatile enough, good enough tackle. And it may be a situation last year with the kid at Northwestern. I think it's Jenkins, right?
Northwestern, Rashawn Slater.
Sorry, Rashawn Jenkins. That's the safety from out of Miami. Rashawn Slater, who ended up being a great pick and arguably the best offensive lineman in the draft last year, or if not 1, 2. They got the freaking Chargers got him at like 15. So I think the Seahawks are feeling like they're in that position where like maybe the most complete tackle in their opinion falls to them at 9. Now they have the 30th pick. If they really want to move up and go get like a Matt Corral, or they want to sit tight and see what they got with Drew Lock, they can do either way now. So I have the Seahawks taking a tackle, Charles Cross there at 10. I mean 9. I think the Jets are a little ticked off. They couldn't get tackled there now, so they're going to panic, and that leads into my next prediction.
Yeah, you had the Jets taking Sauce, so they need a tackle, and they just lost out on the big 3 on Neal, Ickey, and Cross. So that's very interesting. The Jets definitely would be unhappy about that. So for me, I have the Seahawks here. A lot of people are saying Malik Willis. I just think there's no way that with their roster that they have, they're going to bring in an unprepared and unpolished Malik Willis, who probably needs to sit for a year just to get his NFL head on straight. There's no way to take Malik Willis here, at least in my opinion. I feel like that would be such a terrible pick.
Yeah.
I have them going not only best player on the board, but a guy that definitely is someone who fits their scheme, someone who they used to have, a lot of success with that style of play in Sauce Gardner. So not only the best player still on the board, but also when they won the Super Bowl, they had Legion Boom, they had Richard Sherman, they had Byron Maxwell, they had that crazy secondary. So I feel like they see a guy like Sauce, they can't pass up on him.
See, my biggest thing is that I feel like a lot of teams are going to look at this draft board now like, oh my God, we have both of us don't have a lot of. I have Sauce going early, but right now we're already at 10, and you still have Stingley and Booth, who are both, in my opinion, not as good as Gardner, but they're both very good corners. I'm more worried about Stingley when I look at Andrew Booth's Andrew Booth's tape. Regardless how you feel about him, Yuke, off the field. I think Andrew Booth honestly is a great corner, could fit a lot of systems. I like him better than the kid out of Washington.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I like big corners who can run. Like I like a guy who's going to be able to take on an AJ Brown man to man. Like
I mean, yes, but at the same time, wouldn't you want someone who's as cerebral, someone who's as smart and understands the game of football as much as a guy like Trent McDuffie?
Well, here's the thing: is like if Philadelphia goes ahead and goes and gets Honey Badger, which even if they don't, they also have one of the smartest cornerbacks of the last 20 years in Darius Slay, who's an instant turnover machine because he knows how to read quarterbacks and receivers.
Exactly.
Darius Slay putting him under his arm. We're also ignoring the fact that the Eagles took Zach McPherson last year, who's one of the top-ranked cornerbacks according to PFF, coming out last year. He was number 4, I believe. And McPherson, when he was on the field, played solid. In Philadelphia is in their crazy mindset, may pass on a corner, and we may have Booth falling all the way to like 19s. It's New Orleans now. So we don't know what the hell is going to happen at 15 with Howie. But I digress. I like your pick of Sauce. At 10, I think the Jets are going to try to move back. They're going to realize they can't, and they're going to reach here. And they're going to go get the first big reach of the draft. I have them taking Trevor Penning out of Northern Iowa here.
Wow.
I think they're going to reach because they have no choice. They need a tackle. They know he's not going to get past possibly Minnesota or Baltimore. So they're going to go get him. They don't want to wait until the second round to go get a tackle now. I think they have that's the last pick in the first round. So they're going to go get Trevor Penning at 17 because they don't know when they're going to be able to trade back to get him. They honestly might be able to trade back a couple spots to maybe let's say if New Orleans trades up because they want to go get Malik Willis, that's a totally reasonable thing. Because if what's the face, if he doesn't go that high, the Saints, I think Saints and Malik Willis is a real thing.
That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So at number 11.
Wait, hold up. I didn't get in my turn.
Sorry. I got in the mode again.
Yeah. No, it's cool. Look, when you're doing mock drafts, it's very exciting. But I'll just say with Trevor Penning, just my 2 cents on the guy. I feel like I saw a great tweet about him, which I feel like sums it up perfectly, is he has NFL Hall of Fame type athleticism with lots of, round 7 in the draft tape, which is very concerning because he was having this terrible tape against FCS competition mostly, and his one game, I think, was against Iowa State, against the one serious FBS competition. He wasn't that good. And on top of that, yeah, he's a great athlete, but the guy's going to be 23 like a week after the draft. So it's not even like he's this young project who you're thinking maybe he can, come in and it'll take him a while, but he'll, explode onto the scene in like a year with his just insane potential. He's been playing for a while. I just feel like with Trevor Penning, there has been hype. Actually, I've seen a bunch of mock drafts putting him in the top 10, which is a little bit interesting, but I just don't see it with Penning. He's a little bit lower on my board. But at 10, I have the Jets. For me, they don't need to panic because they got Evan Neal earlier. I haven't taken Kyle Hamilton. They could use secondary help. Probably at least according to my board, he's the best player still left, and they need secondary help. It's a perfect fit here.
Alrighty. At 11, Washington's the wild card. They're going to send this draft. It's like last year with Cincinnati, where Cincinnati changed the entire draft with that Jamar Chase pick. So I have Washington saying, screw this. We're going to go get Carson some weapons. They're going to take Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State.
Really?
Yeah.
You still have Kyle Hamilton on the board.
Yeah, I think they're going to let Kyle Hamilton go. I think they're going to see I think Washington is that team that's going to get scared of a 4.7 40.
Very interesting.
Because their next pick, also because the next pick, my next pick is going to take him. He's not going to fall past the Vikings. I'll tell you that right now.
Interesting. Well, I'm with you on the same page as Washington. I just think that the weapon that I think they go for is Drake London, because I feel like they would probably be looking at Garrett Wilson, but I feel like he's very similar to Terry McLaurin in the style that they play. Very crafty, very shifty route runners, very strong, not blazing speed, but they can run. They have good 40s and they can run. They're not burners, but they're definitely not slow, and great receivers, very complete, secure hands. They're very similar, and I feel like they probably want to get someone who's a little bit different, especially with a guy like Carson Wentz. I feel like Drake London would be a perfect complement.
Very much like his boy over in Indianapolis, Pittman.
Michael Pittman, or back when he had Alshon Jeffrey.
Hopefully he doesn't do the same things in the locker room. Yeah, like hopefully he doesn't do the same things in the locker room Alshon Jeffrey did. I think they're interchangeable. I think either way, Washington's taking a receiver. At 12, I already telegraphed it. Kyle Hamilton to the Vikings. They know they've got very limited time left to Harrison Smith, if not at all. I can't remember if he's on the roster, but it's the number one need, and they're not going to let a guy that good fall that far. So I have them taking Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm in a similar mindset, I guess, but they're going to go secondary. But the way I see it, I feel like, especially, I think his name was a little hard to pronounce, but Quincy Odafe-Mensah, something like that.
Yeah.
Odafe-Mensah, their new general manager, the Vikings' new general manager. He's, according to a lot of guys, he's very analytical, and he really buys into the whole analytics game. And I feel like based off of that, he's probably going to go with the highest value pick, with the highest value position in this draft, which would probably be either quarterback, offensive line, or corner. And I feel like of those three, the position that they need the most is corner. They are desperate for corners. Patrick Peterson's getting old, and he's really the only guy on their team who's even a little bit reliable. And you got Derek Stingley still on the board. I don't think that there's any chance that Derek Stingley falls past 12. I have Stingley going here at 12, and I just feel like that's like a shoo-in for me. That's one of those picks that Stingley's going to be a Viking, in a month.
All right, so if you have Stingley falling to the Vikings, who do you have 13 with the Texans?
So what about you? You didn't tell me that you're you said Texans Hamilton.
Yeah, and I said the Vikings was Hamilton.
Yeah. So for me, 13, I have, and this is gonna be a little bit interesting, but I think that the Texans made it clear they like Davis Mills, and I feel like everyone can agree Davis Mills played surprisingly well for a rookie who was not drafted in the first round, especially where playing on a team like the Texans are so devoid of talent. It's embarrassing, and he still put up really good numbers. I feel like maybe the Texans are going to try, they have needs all over the board. So wherever they throw these darts, they're hoping that it lands regardless of what position. I feel like maybe they try to build around offense, maybe try to build around Davis Mills a little bit and see how he plays. So with their first pick, I had them taking Ike Kwanu. So I feel like with their next pick, now they're going to go Garrett Wilson, take a receiver who can be their number one, pair up maybe with Nico Collins, who Davis Mills likes and gets along with, pair up with a Brandon Cooks, who could probably teach him the way. Garrett Wilson, Brandon Cooks have a little bit similar game types. So that would be interesting. Maybe give Davis Mills, a fighting chance to win the job.
Fair enough. All right, I will say I have the Texans going Derek Stingley.
Yeah, if he's still there. Yeah.
If he's still there, listen, I think he will be there. I think they were one of the first things to bring him for a visit post his 4.37. Congratulations to him. That was a hell of a 40 time. But yeah, no, I think the Texans is Stingley. It's like a match made in heaven. I think they've telegraphed that they want him. It's kind of like Kenny Pickett and Sauce Gardner to me, where it's like the team is telling you they want him. They're going to take him if he's there.
If he falls to 13, that's an easy pick.
It's the best cornerback available. At 14, I have the Baltimore Ravens taking Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia. They need interior guys, and he's the best one available. I think he's still better than Jordan Davis. You and me both talked about this. Which Jordan Davis are we going to get? Is it the Jordan Davis who got dominated by Alabama offensive linemen in that draft and looked gassed? I mean, in a championship game? Or are we going to get the Jordan Davis who ran the ridiculous 40 times and all that other crap? So I think Wyatt's the fit for them. They need interior guys. They just brought back Campbell. I think they still have Peters and they still have Humphrey. They don't need corners. I don't think they're going to go receiver, especially this early. That's never been. They just took Terrence Marshall last year. Or not Terrence Marshall.
Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman, who played great when he got on the field. They still Hollywood Brown. They're not going to take receiver. I think they're going to take a simple, easy. They're going to go get the guy who's going to stuff up the middle for them like Wyatt, who can play multiple positions, either outside as a 3 technique or inside as a 1. Either way, I think he's the perfect fit for them at 14.
So you got a huge, massive Ravens fan here. So as a Devontae Wyatt fan also, as a big Devontae Wyatt stan, nothing would make me happier.
You just don't think they're going to do it, though.
Taking Devontae Wyatt. I don't think that there's a chance. I feel like they would love a guy like Devontae Wyatt. I feel like there's 2 positions probably that they're going to be prioritizing here. And I feel like that's edge rusher, where, they haven't had a quality edge rusher since Terrell Suggs. And they've had some good players that they drafted and developed, like guys like Zadarius Smith, who was good for them, but then went on to be even better on another team. It's very much their style. They draft these really good edge rushers who then move on. I feel like they just got Odafe Owe last year in the first round. So I feel like they'd be looking at edge rusher. Another position I feel like not a lot of guys are talking about, but I feel like it would be huge for them is offensive line. Their offense, when they were the best offense in the league, they were the Super Bowl frontrunner, was they had Lamar Jackson just running wild on teams, putting up 200 rushing yards a game.
Are you thinking the kid? Offensive line? Are you thinking of the kid at A&M?
Kenyon Green?
Yeah.
No, I don't think Kenyon Green's going this early. I don't think there's any chance, especially with Linderbaum on the board and Zion Johnson. Zion Johnson's actually my number 1 interior offensive lineman. I would also, if the Ravens take Devontae Wyatt or Zion Johnson, I will be the happiest man in the world. But I think that in this mock draft, I'm going to go with Jermaine Johnson. Okay. He's still on the board for me. It's a great pick. He's a great talent. And I just feel like they're not going to prioritize their offense as much as I wish they would, because they believe in Lamar Jackson's abilities. And I just feel like they saw how lacking their defense was last year, and they know that they need a good pass rush. And they took the project with Odafe Owe, the guy who's a crazy athlete who can probably project and slowly grow into this crazy dominant edge rusher. But now they want to go with a guy like Jermaine Johnson, who was crazy productive at Florida State, who can come in and have production off the gate and kind of match with Odafe Owe.
I love it. All right, so 15, we have my team on the board finally, the Philadelphia Eagles 15. Now, I was leaning a different direction this morning before I saw a draft visit by a certain receiver. I also know there's a certain connection he has to the team since he has 2 boys on the roster. Philly loves them Alabama receivers, man. They love them Alabama boys. They're going to take Jameson Williams at 15. So here's why. You're going to think, Jared, they have Jalen Reagor. They have Zach Pascal. How is he going to – and they still
No one's saying they have Jalen Reagor.
No, let me finish. But they still have – but their 1 and 2 slots are still filled with Quez Watkins and Devontae Smith. But hear me out. One, Pascal is a tech receiver. He is your – like sidearm guy. Like he's going to just catch touchdowns. He's what we've had in Greg Ward for the past few years where he's just there in the end zone. Jalen Reagor might not be an Eagle by draft time. I think Sirianni's done with him. I think he really is. Jameson Williams just had a draft visit, and I think Howie Roseman wants to alleviate the DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson issues in the room here. Jameson Williams, they don't need to worry about his ACL, him getting back right away, because they can have Pascal play the number 3 position if he's not ready exactly by game time. But with Jameson Williams, his upside is ridiculous. This is a missile. And he's 6'1". He's a big enough body. He knows Jalen Hurts enough. He also has chemistry already with his boy Devontae Smith, who's going to show him the reins. There's a familiarity there. And it's a Philadelphia pick where they want to get a home run hitter in the last year of Jalen Hurts, is either the last year of this era of Jalen Hurts or the first of many. Because this is Jalen Hurts make or break year. They're going to give him the ammunition to try to take a swing at this thing. So for me, because they have their 2 first next year, courtesy of the New Orleans Saints, they will either give Jalen Hurts every tool in the world to succeed and score a ton of points and be a good offense, or they're going to give his boy, Bryce Young, Tyler Van Dyke, or CJ Stroud, whoever the quarterback they get next year in the draft, if Hurts fails, all the weapons in the world. So either way, the Eagles are going to set it up with their first pick to go get Jameson Williams. The word on the street is, everyone says Eagles and Drake London. I know you already took Drake London off the board, so I don't have to worry about you saying this. The thing is, there's been nothing connected. The only receiver connected to Philadelphia so far through draft visits there has been Olave a little bit, Wilson a little bit, but Jameson Williams has been the one that everyone's been like, it's been gaining some heat, I guess.
So very interesting. With Jameson Williams, I just feel like let's put it this way, before the injury, I feel like if he didn't get injured and he could have bulked up a little bit for the combine, put on a show at the combine, I feel like he would be a lock for a top 10 pick. He would have been easily the best wide receiver in this draft. Problem is, there was an injury that also affected his weight a little bit, and it's also ACL. It was very late, so he's going to fall a little bit. The Eagles taking a guy like Jameson Williams, whoever gets him, it's going to be a steal because he's a great wide receiver. My only problem with his fit on the Eagles is that the way I see it, there's a famous saying where you want to build your football team like a basketball team, which is you want to have, especially on offense, you want to have guys who play different roles on your offense, play very different styles of receiver. And that way, at any given situation, you can go to anyone. If you have these, Jameson Williams and Devontae Wyatt, both are skinny guys, who win their routes, but aren't, big contested catch, 50-50 type guys who can, go down the middle and catch these, catches in traffic. Neither of them are those guys. And I just feel like if you have, 2 of the same, that I don't feel like that would be great for their offense. So I like the pick with Jameson Williams. He's a great receiver. I don't know about the fit. I actually haven't taken receiver with their next pick. But before I get to my pick, I'm just curious, from an Eagles fan's perspective, what did you feel like? How did you feel about this trade?
I love it because it hedges I'm a big fan of hedging my bets. I've always been about it. The only time I didn't hedge my bet was the national championship game. I don't want to talk about it. Fucking Kansas. I will say this. I think with the Saints behind them and the fact that the Eagles know that they want their guy, I think the only guy they would take ahead, the only guy they would take if they didn't have James Williams there, the other guy they would go for and take a run at if Wilson, Williams, and what's his face, and Williams, Wilson, and London weren't there. They would wait. They'd take corner at this pick, and they'd wait and go get Treylon Burks at what I believe is the 18th pick. They love Burks apparently too. I think Burks is a fit for them. Honestly, I think that's their guy. Honestly, if it's not Jameson Williams, I love Treylon Burks, but I think Philadelphia would not hesitate this time, and they will go pull the trigger on the guy they want.
Interesting. So I actually have them taking Burks at 18. A little bit of spoiler here. So I would have them going Burks here, but in my mock draft, at least, where the Saints already made their pick, traded up to number 7, you have the Giants and the Chargers in between their next 2 picks. Yeah. And I feel like both of those teams are more threats to other positions rather than receiver. I don't feel like either of those teams are going to go Treylon Burks. So I feel like the Eagles feel a little bit more comfortable going elsewhere and then hoping that Treylon Burks falls to pick 18. And you're not going to like this very much as an Eagles fan. I haven't taken Jordan Davis. And I'm saying this not from the perspective
I
of
just
I
don't
think
get
that
it
would be
because
a
they
good
just took a D
move.
tackle. I just don't get.
Yes.
I just don't get it because they just re-signed Cox to a 1-year deal. They have Milton Thomas and they also have Javon Hargrave. It just they would be too packed in there.
So yes, but I feel like Howie Roseman, right? So he's a huge just advocator for you need to have guys on in your trenches, and I just feel like Jordan Davis is the last. Not in my opinion. I'm not a huge Jordan Davis fan, but I feel like in the opinion of the draft world, Jordan Davis is the last guy here who is a dude, who is just someone who's like a freak, someone who's as big as Jordan Davis, who ran a 4.78. And I feel like, especially with Fletcher Cox getting a little bit older, yeah, you're right. It's a 1-year deal. I feel like that would be a good, no team stays healthy all year. And having a good rotation would bring out the best in their defensive line and could really turn their defense into probably, I think, with a guy like Jordan Davis. If Jordan Davis plays as well as everyone thinks he will play, then this could be a top 5 defense in the NFL even. They have a lot of serious talent there, especially with a guy like Jordan Davis being able to come in and not have to be the every down starter, but someone who can rotate in that'll bring out the best in him.
See, my biggest thing is I think the Eagles will. I think the guy they want is the guy that fits their ideal mold to me is Travis Jones out of UConn in the 3rd round. That's where I think they'll go. Will they go interior?
I think Travis Jones goes first.
I don't think he goes that far. I think he's a 51st ranked prospect on this big board here, and I think I have him in my 50s as well. I think Winfrey out of Oklahoma and Leal and Davis will go ahead of him, and same thing with Wyatt.
Really?
Yeah. So my biggest thing with draft, it's because he goes to a small school, and they're gonna UConn prospects besides Byron Jones haven't gone high in a while. Speaking from a kid who's from Connecticut,
although Travis Jones had a wild, just like Byron Jones blew people away at his pro day. Travis Jones, no one talked about it because of Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt. Travis Jones also ran a sub 5.40, and he's over, I think he's close to 350 pounds, just something ridiculous. It's just
he looks like an athlete. I think the biggest reason why I disagree with you on the Jordan Davis pick is that he's his effort and his wind has been questioned in Philadelphia with Jonathan Gannon, who is a wonky dude. I think him, Sirianni, and in the competitiveness is a question. And with a guy like Nick Sirianni, who basically makes motherfuckers do rock, paper, scissors in the draft room, I don't think Jordan Davis passed that test. I think Jordan Davis, I seriously worry about the kid's effort. I really do. Where it's like, it's not like last year where 2 years ago, I was like, oh, Justin Jefferson won't be able to separate. I was wrong. But no, with Jordan Davis, I just worry on tape. I just don't think he's got enough gas to be a Sirianni type of guy. That's why
I don't think it's his effort, though. I think it's more of his stamina. He's a big guy. I feel
that's another reason.
He can run an explosive 40, but he can't run, 10 40s in an hour. He'd run like a 10-second 40 on his last one.
My biggest thing with it is like Milton Thomas. They took him because he's basically an Aaron Donald type, where it's like he's a freak of nature D tackle. Because he is a freak, Jordan Davis. I think my biggest thing is the fit feels odd. It doesn't feel like a Howie and Nick Sirianni pick. It feels more like a Minnesota Vikings type pick.
Yeah, I get that.
So at 16, I have the New Orleans Saints, who didn't have to panic, who didn't have to trade up, who sat there, held on, and their guy is sitting there at 16. Second quarterback off the board is Malik Willis. I think they're going to go get this freak of nature guy. They can have him sit behind their boy, Jameis Winston for a little bit. They can have him just learn. If he beats him out in training camp, even better. But to them, you said they're taking a quarterback. I think they'll go with the splash guy more than the consistent winner, Desmond Ridder. I think Malik Willis there at 16 is a home run for them. Funny enough, I have Jordan Davis coming off the board in the next 3 picks. I just realized that.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I just the Willis fit in New Orleans. I mean, it would give him a great opportunity to be able to sit and develop behind a guy like Jameis Winston. But I just feel like his erratic accuracy is just in order. Receivers you need to pair with a guy like Malik Willis, who has the crazy accuracy that he has, needs to be guys who can separate, and they don't really have consistent separators. Even Michael Thomas is more of a hands catcher, more of someone who can get a yard of separation and then physically come down with the ball, rather than someone who's going to, juke someone out of their shoes and then get 10 yards of separation. And with Willis's accuracy, that's just, I just don't feel like it's a great fit. But of all the places where he could go, that would be probably one of the best fits for him, just from an aspect of he could be able to sit there and develop behind a great offensive line and in a great organization. That would probably be the best fit for his development.
So, funny enough, I do have the Saints taking a receiver with their next pick.
Very interesting. So with my pick here, I have it's not the Saints, it's the Giants, right? The Giants, I feel like this is, by the way, an ideal situation for the Giants. The Giants don't need one or two more guys to make a run, all right? They need to just load up with as much talent as possible. They are just one of the weirdest teams where they have one of the worst cap situations, but they have I don't think they have any Pro Bowlers on their roster, which is ridiculous because they're under the cap. I don't understand how that's possible. Their general manager did a number on their team, and they just need to infuse this roster with just talent. And it doesn't even need to be the most high-end talent. They just need talent wherever they can get it. So having 3 first-round picks, being able to trade back and get 3, I feel like that'd be huge for them. So with their first pick, they got Charles Cross. So they kind of fix their offensive line. They could go offensive line again. I don't think that they're going to do it a second time. So like a double dip at that position. I have them going Devontae Wyatt here. They have a guy like Dexter Lawrence on the inside, but pair him with Devontae Wyatt. Also, I think it's not Dave Gettleman anymore, but they need trenches. You build a team from the trenches and out. And getting a guy like Devontae Wyatt, I feel like not only is he the best player left on this board, but he's just a good fit. When you're trying to build a team like that, you don't start throwing wide receiver at it. You start with offensive line, and then you move on to the next trenches, which is defensive line. Devontae Wyatt's a great player.
Oh yeah. All right, so I actually been thinking about number 17 for a while with the Chargers, right? Because they have 3 holes that are glaring to me. They need a right tackle, obviously, but interior D lineman and linebacker are huge for them, right? It's like they need guys in the middle. They have dudes in the outside. They have the edge rusher. They have Derwin James, and I think they'll fill a lot of holes in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. I still think they might get another guy in free agency. They just got Khalil Mack. They just got J.C. Jackson. I really think they want to get a guy in the middle who's going to play there. They just lost Kazir White to Philadelphia. I think they take Devin Lloyd here at 17. I think that he's the first linebacker off the board. Do I think they're worried about, like I am, with him not being able to stick dudes up in the hole? No. But do they think they really care? No. My biggest thing is I like seeing linebackers stick guys up. That is a big thing with me. I want to be able to watch you stop, especially with guys like Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, who run through people. I want to see guys who stop them in the hole. But my boy Cruz said this perfectly. He is Devin White 2.0. So if that's a great comp, honestly, if I'm the Chargers who want guys who can go sideline to sideline, I think the Chargers luck out here and they get him at 17.
Devin Lloyd's interesting. My only problem with Devin Lloyd is I feel like he's just a very rare athlete. So teams are definitely going to buy into him. Problem is he's 24. So that's usually a big red flag when someone's that old. And he just his tape is so raw. And like when you have a player who is just very unpolished and needs to improve, it's a lot more exciting when he's 20 or 21 years old. And you're like, this guy's a kid and we can mold him into a star player. But when you're 24 and you have that many holes in your tape, it's just a little concerning. I really like Devin Lloyd. That's just my 2 cents on him. I feel like in this pick I have it's an odd fit because, like you said, they got J.C. Jackson. They drafted Asante Samuel last year at corner. But I haven't taken Trent McDuffie here. And the reason I feel like they got to start hitting on the secondary is because last year in the crucial game for their season where it was deciding whether to make the playoffs or not against the Raiders, Derek Carr, with a terrible receiving core, was driving all over the field on them. And he was going all the way down the field with Hunter Renfrow. And now they have Devontae Adams. And now Russell Wilson's in the division. And Patrick Mahomes is still in the division. And in today's NFL, having 2 corners is not enough. So drafting a guy like Trent McDuffie, they are solidifying their defense and saying, we have a good offense. We have Justin Herbert. We have Mike Williams. We have Keenan Allen. We have Austin Eckler. We have a really good offensive line that they revamped last year and is only going to improve with time because they have a lot of young guys on that offensive line. We need defense. And they got Derwin James at safety. They have a beast, defensive line. Linebacker could use some help, but they've never, I remember this from when they played the Ravens and Lamar Jackson's first year starting. Yeah. They were never guys who were big on having those thumper linebackers. What they want is they want to have tons of defensive backs who can just be hybrids and play all over the place. So that would be a lot easier when you have 3 good coverage corners in J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel, and Trent McDuffie. you can shut down receivers, go man to man, and then all your safeties and then linebackers can be these nickel guys and play whatever packages you want.
Fair enough. All right. So, with all that being said, at 18, you're gonna love this because this is a big brain move, even though he's not your favorite player in this draft. I love the Eagles taking Andrew Booth because his pro comp is very similar to the guy on the other side of the ball from him. And the other side of the formation from him, that's Darius Slay. Very good man-to-man coverage, great ball skills, sticky man-to-man. Like, this guy can play a little zone, but the Eagles run a lot of man-to-man off zone. He's a perfect fit for them. He's long. He's like 6 foot, can run well. 5-star talent when he came out of high school. And honestly, he gets to sit near a smart player. 2 smart players in Anthony Harris and Darius Slay, possibly Honey Badger as well, if all things go according to the way they're supposed to go. So now the Eagles with Zach McPherson possibly also in the slot, they could duel it out, see who's better, or they could trade one of them. They still have Avonte Maddox, who's an underrated nickel corner. It makes so much. Avonte Maddox on paper, when he swatted that ball from Robbie Anderson against the Panthers, I'm like, that dude's a highlight reel player. When he's in the slot, he's one of the best slot corners in the league. I think Andrew Booth here is going to make all the sense because there's no edge rusher available. They do have Reddick. They do have they have their 4 guys. They have their 4 edge rushers, but they know they have to get one down the road, which is what I think they'll do in the second round when they take Mr. Ajobo out of Michigan, because they know they don't need him ready for the first year.
He falls that far.
I think he falls second round. I think teams are going to stay away from that Achilles because they see.
I feel like teams in the late first round, teams, especially like a team like the Chiefs, who have 2 first-round picks, where they need edge rusher, but they don't need edge rusher right now. They have 2 first-round picks, so having one of them sit for a while, I don't think it's going to fall that far.
I have Kostafsis going there to the. I have him going to the Chiefs. That's the only reason. If it wasn't for Kostafsis sitting there already, he'd probably go in the first round, but unfortunately he won't. And Philadelphia knows they can probably get him the second round, or get that kid out of out of San Diego State, who they love. They could easily wait on an edge rusher, and they'll go take Andrew Booth here because I just think they don't need another Avonte Maddox. They need a guy who's going to play on the outside, so that's why I take Booth here.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Andrew Booth fan, but it's not like I'm a huge Andrew Booth hater either. So I just feel like he didn't blow me away enough. And he was just very good at everything, but he wasn't like elite. He wasn't Derek Stingley or Sauce Gardner at any one aspect of the game. And there were just other guys who were more impressive to me. So I like Booth. I think that he's another thing that hurt his draft stock is that he didn't really participate in any of the postseason or offseason just hype. He wasn't at the combine. He didn't do much at the combine. And it was just like there's nothing about him to really boost his stock like where everyone else is having their stock rise. So I feel like that's going to hurt him a little bit. But for me, I have the Eagles taking Treylon Burks. I already mentioned this before. I feel like he's a perfect fit. He's very opposite of Devontae Smith, where Devontae Smith is lean and just a perfect route runner, a smooth technician, but he's not very physical. On the other hand, you have Treylon Burks, who's not a perfect technician, and his route tree isn't as developed, but he is just physical and big and dominant, and he can just, it's just the opposite of Devontae Smith, where whatever you need to achieve on your offense, you go to either him or to him. I feel like it would be a great pairing, and they really complement each other well.
I honestly would love, even if it went the way where they take Booth at 15 and then they go get Treylon Burks at 18, because Treylon Burks, who he reminds me of, his pro comp is in my head, is Dez Bryant.
AJ Brown?
Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant. AJ Brown's got a little more burn in him. Dez Bryant was a little shiftier. And Dez Bryant, it's the physicality. It's the 6'2", 6'3" frame. It's the hands. It's the ability just to like rip the ball out of the air with authority and then take off moving. A little bit, and also the punt return ability. Honestly, if you want my honest to God opinion, my dream scenario for the draft is the Eagles get either Stingley or Booth at 15, depending on how they fall, and then get Treylon Burks at 18. That is my dream first round for Philadelphia. I think Burks is the perfect fit.
That's not out of the question.
That's my dream fit. That's what I want. But logically, I think they go Booth at 18 or Booth and Williams at 15. Yeah, but I think. Yeah, I just keep Drake London away from my team. I think this kid is going to be a bust and a half. He's going to be Kelvin Benjamin.
He's concerning for sure. Yeah, he's concerning for sure.
Yeah,
but,
you can't separate from Pac-12 cornerbacks. That scares the daylights out of me. I think the kid could be a good player, but I just don't trust him in the Eagles system.
I feel that. You have Drake London dropping a little bit in your mock draft. He's still available, and you still
I have him going to a certain NFC contender that's missing some receivers in about 2 picks.
Very interesting. All right, let's run through these a bit.
All right, so yeah, so 19 Saints at 19. I have them taking one of my most underrated receivers in the draft. I have them taking Chris Olave. The name itself, his speed. They take Malik Willis. They need a fast guy to compete. I like him better than Jahan Dotson. I like him better than Drake London. I think that he is going to be there at 18, obviously, because some teams have him going as far back as 32. I have him going at 18 to the Saints. I think they reach on him, but that's their guy. They like him, his combination with his speed and ability to separate with Malik Willis, who's going to need guys to get open, along with Michael Thomas. I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, it's a great pick. Having they definitely need to add a receiver help, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I have Olave right now as my wide receiver 1. Now that could change because my wide receiver rankings have shifted every day. Olave, I feel like a week ago he was my wide receiver 4, and now he's my wide receiver 1, and it's not like he even changed more than 5 or 6 spots in my big board. It's just all these receivers are so good and so close together in talent. So I really like Olave, but for me, I have the Giants here because, again, they traded with the Saints. I know I said before that they won't double dip at offensive line, but I feel like the way the board has fallen to them, there isn't really anyone who I feel like they need to go get. On my board, there's still Malik Willis. Are not going quarterback this year. They have Jameson Williams available, who I don't feel like they're going to go receiver here with the amount of money that they're paying Kenny Golladay, and they just drafted Kadarius Toney in the first round. There isn't really any guys here who I feel like they need to take. So I feel like they might double dip here at offensive line. And in that case, they'd go Tyler Linderbaum, who's probably the most polished offensive lineman in this class. And, they short up the edge of it with getting a guy like Charles Cross. They have a guy like Andrew Thomas, and then throw Tyler Linderbaum in the middle. And they could really have a good offensive line. Maybe see how Daniel Jones does. Maybe he'll throw less interceptions, have less turnovers. We'll see.
All right. So here I like the pick, obviously, but at 20, at myself for 20, we have the Steelers. Okay. And the Steelers, to me, I feel like are sitting there. They're panicking. They wanted Malik Willis, and he's not there. So they're going to take a safe pick, and they're going to go get Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa. A big, nasty mauler from the Midwest who can get either at guard or center and help block for Money Mitch or whoever they take later in the draft. Wink, wink. I think Linderbaum at 20 to the Steelers is a great pickup. I don't have them trading out. There's a lot of maybe trades with me, but now I'm looking at it. There's a lot of players available for these guys, especially from a number 21 team, the Patriots, who now basically have a guy who fits their niche falling to them at 21. So,
yeah. So you're saying the Steelers take Linderbaum? That's interesting.
I just think Najee Harris is the franchise man. They need to block for him.
They do. They need help on the offensive line for sure. In my mock draft, I would have had them going offensive line, but Malik Willis is available. So
yeah.
They're
so basically, we're just doing the Saints Steelers flip here.
Yeah.
Except for you have the Saints way overreaching for Desmond Ridder, which my friend and good friend of the show, Cruz Oxenrider, if that happens, I'm gonna make sure I stand out in front of his house to make sure he's doing harm to himself, because that's scary. He's not. He hates Desmond Ridder. He hates Desmond Ridder. I love Desmond Ridder, but he hates Desmond Ridder. So
that's rough.
Yeah, he's not a fan of Desmond Ridder. Let's put it that way.
He's hitting the wrong guy.
I know. All right, so yeah. So
we got 21. We got the Pats.
Pats. I have Trent McDuffie coming off the board for the Patriots. They need a corner. They love these gadget corners. They love the guys who maybe aren't the flashy ones. And McDuffie can play inside. He can play outside. He's a little smaller, but he can run. He's a Bill Belichick guy. They need corners. They need them badly. This is perfect for Bill at 21. And watch, now McDuffie's going to be like a perennial Pro Bowler.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Also, just the way he understands the game. I feel like him fitting into a Bill Belichick defense, that'd be unreal. For me, he's off the board, so that would be a great pick for the Pats if they could get him. For me, they can't. So I feel like they go at this pick. I don't love the fit, and I would hate this if this happens. I just feel like if the board falls this way, it will. is that the Pats would take Jameson Williams, where
Okay.
I just feel like he's easily the best player who fills a need, who's still available. And he's just obviously he's a great receiver, and they need receivers. I can't imagine them taking a wide receiver in the first round again after what happened with N'Keal Harry and after all the rumors with Bill Belichick. But I just feel like with a guy like Jameson Williams falling, they can't pass on him, you know?
I know, I hear you. Honestly, so my biggest thing is when I look at the Patriots, man, I just think that Bill is going to win with that defense. I think he's got to, because he knows Mac's going to be a good player, and I know they're going to go. I think like Jahan Dotson in the second round for them, or Watson out of North Dakota State makes more sense, where it's like they're going to be able to get their guy. Because in my scenario, Williams was off the board 15 to Philadelphia, so they're gonna like go get Duffy and then go load up on weapons in the second, third round, which is more of a Belichick-esque way to do things than take a receiver after the whole N'Keal Harry debacle with the Herm Edwards, which I don't think him and Bill are still talking after that. So that was my thing. At 22, the Green Bay Packers finally take a receiver in the first damn round. They select Drake London out of USC for Aaron Rodgers. If there's any receipt quarterback who can make Drake London look good, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's big. He's nasty. They don't need burners. They can go get a burner in the second or third round. They need a big-bodied guy who's going to catch balls in the end zone, be able to run decent routes, and that's Drake London. I think he fits in great with Aaron Rodgers, who's going to love a guy with a giant catch radius. Devontae Adams wasn't a burner. I'm not saying he's Devontae Adams by any stretch, obviously, but very good skill set for him for fitting in the Packers. If there's any team that can make his skill set work with a quarterback, it is Aaron Rodgers, who I think, in my opinion, is still the most accurate quarterback in the league. So, just on anything deep, he's going to make him look great. So, I think Drake London to the Packers is a slam dunk for Green Bay.
So, I actually would say I don't love the fit Drake London to the Packers because I feel like, first of all, his skill set is very similar to Allen Lazard, where they're both big contested catch receivers who can just go up and come down with the 50-50 balls. Mm-hmm. But they're not separators. And that was the thing with Devontae Adams, that what made him so great was not just his size, but which, for the record, he's a lot shorter than people think. I think he's only 6'1" or 6'2", which is a little bit crazy for how, dominant and big he played. But what made him so good is not only was his size.
He's 6'4". You're talking about Devontae Adams or Drake London?
Devontae Adams. Yeah.
Devontae Adams is 6'1", yeah, no, but Drake London is 6'4".
Yeah, so it's just crazy that Devontae Adams plays a lot bigger than 6'1". But what made him even better than that was that he is a great route runner, just a very underrated, consistent separator who can just shimmy guys, to the floor. So I feel like that Drake London is very different than Devontae Adams. And spoiler alert a little bit here is I don't have the Packers taking receiver with either of their first 2 first-round picks.
Wow.
I just feel like, yes, they would get a lot of hate from the fans, but I feel like Aaron Rodgers is not, I've said this before, he's not the type of guy who wants to, take in a rookie wide receiver. And the way the draft fell to them right now, yes, Olave's on the board. I don't think that they pull the trigger on Olave. It's just doesn't feel like a stylistic fit with Aaron Rodgers. Well, I feel like Aaron Rodgers is the type to say, like, I'm going to take these, these bad wide receivers, and I'm Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to turn them into great receivers. I feel like it's a very typical.
I know you're not the biggest Aaron Rodgers guy on the planet, but I think that they're going to go get Jarvis Landry. I think Jarvis Landry, the Packers, is a real thing, or possibly OBJ. They're going to get one of those, Julio Jones. They're going to get one of these older guys, and they're going to couple him with London and Lazard, and it's going to be a decent receiving core. I think that was my idea with their picking here. Now, this one with the Packers is the next pick is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the Arizona Cardinals are in a weird spot, right? So they need corners, they need edge rushers, they need receivers. The next best player available in my board is Jordan Davis, and then Zion Johnson, Kostafsis. I don't have them reaching on Kostafsis. I don't have them reaching for a corner. I think the next corner available is Kiar Elam. So I was originally having the Cardinals trade back, but because this man is still available on the board, I have them taking Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. I think he's kind of fits that mold. He's a faster guy. He gets open. He can make big plays. It fits Arizona. He's kind of similar how Christian
over
Kirk
Treylon Burks.
I don't know. I just think teams are weird on Treylon Burks. I haven't seen teams like. I think he's going to keep falling. I just don't get. I don't get it. Obviously, I just don't understand why teams are passing on him. But it's somebody has to explain to me why, but I don't know. So I feel like Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks should be one of those two. But I think Dotson feels more like a Cardinals pick to me.
Very interesting. I like that pick. That's a good pick. They definitely need receivers. That's not a question. Outside of DeAndre Hopkins, who now was very injury, riddled last year, they don't really have anyone. Christian Kirk left, and obviously signed that mega deal with the Jaguars. They don't really have a number two, and Rondell Moore is not a number two. He's more of a gadget guy. So that's a very good pick. That would fit really well. I feel like they take Burks if they're going receiver at that spot, but Jahan Dotson is definitely a good pick. I feel like they do have needs on defense, but they got to go offense here. Where especially with Kyler Murray and the whole drama that we had this offseason with him, and just the way their offense last year started off on fire and then very, very quickly fell by the wayside and was just not as dominant as it was at the beginning of the season. That's going to be the key to their team, is not their defense, but is their offense. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, especially with Kyler Murray's play style, you got to protect him. So I'm taking Zion Johnson here. Beef up the offensive line, give Kyler some time, keep him healthy. I feel like that's the key.
So, next pick, I have the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys are the Dallas Cowboys. They like stars. They like guys who blow up, are big and explosive, and they like guys who shine and guys who are headlines, right? Who do I still have on my board right now that you're bewildered he's still here?
Jordan Davis?
At number 24. The Cowboys need to – listen – you could run the Cowboys and negate that edge rush. Him, Micah Parsons, and DeMarcus Lawrence. I know it's not the defense. That's a scary defensive line, right? And it's such a Cowboys pick too. Like Micah Parsons is a big name guy, the big name. They got him at 11. I think Jordan Davis at 24, if he's still there, that is a touch of Jerry Jones pick. Like they went and got CeeDee Lamb and they didn't need receivers. I think they're going to wait in a receiver in this draft. I think they go see if they can go get a guy like Michael Gallup like they did a couple years ago. They're going to wait and see. So, but next up is an interesting team for me. But you got to do your Cowboys picks. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I really like the Jordan Davis pick. If he falls this far, that's a slam dunk pick for the Cowboys. I would be surprised if he fell this far after the offseason he had, but that would be a slam dunk pick. Mm-hmm. I have them, since we're going back and forth here, you didn't really notice, but I just had two offensive linemen go back to back with Trevor Penning and Zion Johnson. Mm-hmm. And then Tyler Linderbaum just won a couple picks ago. And offensive line well is drying up. And I feel like for the Cowboys, the strength of this team has always been offensive line. And now they're not only getting older, but they're losing pieces. They just lost Lyle Collins. Tyron Smith is not getting any younger. And they need help on the offensive line. And I just feel like they need help in multiple places. I feel like they go Kenyon Green here. Yes, he had a bad combine, but he's still a great player. And he's, other than maybe Evan Neal, he's definitely the most versatile offensive lineman in this class, where he played in one season. He played tackle, and both tackles and both guard spots in one season. It was just insane the way they moved him around, and he was good all along the offensive line. So I feel like Kenyon Green would be a very good fit on this Cowboys offensive line.
Next up is my interesting pick. At 25, I have the Buffalo Bills. And the Buffalo Bills are a strange team to me. I can't understand. The Buffalo Bills every year make a surprise pick to me. They need another corner, but there's no good corners available right now. I think they could trade back, but I think Elam, honestly, I'm debating back and forth here. I feel like they would trade back up into the first round to get Elam, because I think I don't have him going this high. I think he's an end of the first round, early second round type of guy. I actually, in my 2-round mock, I had them trading back up to the early second round and taking him with their third pick. I think the Texans trading out and them getting but I digress. I have them going way off book here and taking Breece Hall out of Iowa State. With this pick. So the Buffalo Bills last year were so reliant and were not able to control the clock against Patrick Mahomes. And the best way to beat a guy like Patrick Mahomes, ask the Cincinnati Bengals, was force turnovers and run the damn ball. Give the ball to Joe Mixon and get out the way. They have the offensive line. It's decent. They have the edge rushers to get after guys like Rousseau and Von Miller. They need a guy to pound the rock. They have all these scat backs. They don't have a guy who can hammer it. Breece Hall is a sledgehammer with legs. He doesn't need to be he doesn't need to catch the ball in the backfield. They got 4 different guys for that. They just need that guy to do what Zach Moss couldn't do, and it's lower his shoulder, fall forward 5 yards. And they will spend a first-round pick on a guy like Breece Hall who can take 240 carries a year and probably run for 1,000 yards.
I love
they haven't had a guy like
way.
They haven't had a guy like that since Willis McGahee. At least a reliable guy like that. So
yeah, I really like that pick. That's one way to keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. Obviously, Breece Hall is a phenomenal player, but another thing that I feel like, yeah, I feel like the direction that they go here is, and like I said, I'm not a huge Andrew Booth guy, but I feel like they go Andrew Booth here. I feel like, especially with the acquisition of Von Miller, you see that they're trying to beef up their defense. Yeah. They saw what Patrick Mahomes did, and they're like, no quarterback is ever going to drive down the field like that ever again. We're going to have a defense that is not going to let that happen to us. So they went out, they got Von Miller, and I feel like they continue to beef up their defense with Andrew Booth. Their offense is great. Continuing to improve their offense, it's good, but I just feel like they're much better off improving their defense.
Nice. All right, so you'll love this. Guess who comes off the board now? The Tennessee Titans at pick 26. Treylon Burks. To pair him with AJ Brown. To pair him with AJ Brown.
What a good Listen. For the record, I love how all of your wide receiver picks are receivers going to teams where there's already a number 1 receiver who has basically the same skill set as them, which is so interesting.
Well, to me, it's like I like multiple receivers. Obviously, I like having a burner. So, like, the Eagles have their jump ball guy, and that's Quez Watkins. Does he have to put on another 20 pounds? Obviously. But I watched him moss 3 different guys a week. It's not really his issue. They need a guy who's going to blow past the defense on a vertical, where Quez Watkins sometimes struggles with his route consistency.
Yeah.
With Treylon Burks, he can run every route that A.J. Brown can run and vice versa, which is going to give a guy like Tannehill, who's a very simple, straight and narrow quarterback, an easier way to throw the ball to. I like Burks here. I think it's a home run. If he can't go to Philadelphia, I would love him going to Tennessee, especially with that play action passing game where he's going to be one-on-one a lot. And with Ryan Tannehill's sketchy ball placement sometimes, it's perfect for a guy like Burks who can go rip the ball out of the air. And it's going to take a lot of pressure off. Well, they were great when they had Corey Davis, who was a similar skill set. So, once again, get another guy who fits Tannehill's MO.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not an advocate of the pair wide receivers of the same skill set, but if Treylon Burks falls to 26 and the Titans pass on him, that would be just ridiculous. That he's just too good of a player to pass up at a position of need for a team like the Titans. But so I'm kind of in the same boat as you here. Treylon Burks is taken here, but I'm going to have them take Olave. They need a receiver, and I feel like Olave would pair up really nicely with Robert Woods and then obviously A.J. Brown. And I feel like, especially looking at their team, they have a good defense. Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. And what you need is just to have a better passing offense, more consistent, more reliable, and even a little bit more explosive. Olave could do that for them.
Oh, yeah. I completely agree. So next up, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? But I am not. Wait, so did you made your pick for 26, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
10 seconds.
Yeah, my brain is fried. I'm sorry. It's been a long couple days. At 27, my first trade of the draft. The Buccaneers are trading out of the first round and taking the second round pick and fourth round pick from the Los Angeles Chargers, who are trading back up into the first round, where they will select Kiar Elam out of Florida.
Wow.
I think
someone trades back into the first round to take a corner.
Yeah, because there's no good after Elam. I don't trust a single corner on this board for until the Kyler Gordon out of Washington, who I have going in the third rounds, end of the second.
After the top tier dries up real quick.
Yeah, so Kiar Elam's the last barely, and he doesn't need to be the dominant corner. They have J.C. Jackson, they have Asante Samuel, who's a great nickel guy. Kiar Elam can play outside. That's why I have them going him instead of McDuffie. I think McDuffie's going to go to New England, obviously, but I think the Chargers trade up with the Buccaneers. So I have to write that down. TB, LA, Elam. So that was my big thing here. I just think it's just as a home run hitter for the Chargers who need to shore up that other side of that defense. And they're going to double down because they know they got to get guys who can cover, and they're going to go all defense. By the way, 6'1.5", 191 pounds. That's a lanky corner, man.
Yeah, I love Kerry Lim. I'm a huge Kerry Lim guy. I just don't feel like he's going to go early, but I think he's a little bit underrated.
Hey, listen, 27 pick in the first round is not bad.
It's not bad, yeah. So I really like that pick. It reminds me a lot of my McDuffie picks. Do you agree with the fact that the Chargers are going to want to go corner? It's not a bad move. But with me, I still have Tampa Bay staying in this pick. I'm going to have him taking Travis Jones, defensive line out of UConn. I really like Travis Jones. I feel like he's a little bit underrated. I think he's a lock for the first round. I love him. Even though you think he's a third round, I really feel like he's going in the first round. And I feel like if you look at Tampa Bay's roster, yeah, you want to build around the offense around Tom Brady, but there isn't a lot of offense, crazy good offense left right now. And there are a lot of great defenders left. And they invested a lot heavily in their secondary. They have great linebackers. Getting a guy like Travis Jones, put him next to Vita Vea, there's no chance anyone is running on this team. So you're going to have to pass into their good secondary that they just put a lot of money into. So I feel like that's a great pick right there.
My one thing was I had them taking Karlaftis. That was my other one because I have him available here at 27. But I said, let me pass. I think there's other teams that are gonna roll on him. But speaking of Karlaftis, at number 28, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting George Karlaftis.
There you go.
Because when Tampa Bay passes on him to move to go get their go trade back, I have Karlaftis going to the Packers. They went and got the receiver. They're probably going to go get another receiver later in the draft, possibly a certain speedster, because there's like 15 guys who run a sub. I think Watson, by the way, out of North Dakota State, is a Packers receiver. Like big, fast, small school. It is totally a Packers move to go get him in the second round. I think that's where they'll double down on receivers to make Aaron happy because they just traded away his number one weapon. I think the Packers are going to draft with fear, but also they know they just lost Zadarius Smith. They need a guy to replace him. I think George Karlaftis, who doesn't need to be a freak of nature like edge rusher, he's more of a power guy. I think that works with the Green Bay system.
Yeah, I like that pick. So I have Green Bay. Like I said, I don't see them taking wide receiver. So I just feel like the best player on the board, and this might shock a few people, but I love Logan Hall, and I feel like he's definitely the best player left on the board right now. He, aside from Kerry Lim, who I really like, but he's a little bit. I don't think they're going to go corner having Jerry Alexander, and they've already put invested into their corner. So I feel like they go Logan Hall here. Just to beef up their defense. And, I don't think Aaron Rodgers is saying build around me anymore. I feel like Aaron Rodgers, I love his game. Like you said, I'm not a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. It's not because I don't like his game. I do feel like he's probably arguably the most talented quarterback in the league. I just feel like he's way too cocky. And I just feel like I don't see them throwing at receivers here or at offensive line. They they invested in Trevor Penning a couple picks ago. I see them going defense here.
Okay. I love it. I really do. My next pick is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs, everyone talks about how he's lost Tyreek Hill. I don't think they're going to go receiver at this 29th pick. I think they are going to try to outthink the room here. They just couldn't get the edge guy they wanted or the cornerback they wanted. So what do? They go get Sky Moore the next pick. The pick before this, because we're going to go back-to-back here with them, they are going to take the kid out of Minnesota, Boye Mafe. They are going to take a guy who's ready to play defensive end now instead of a guy like Ajobo who's going to be ready by the end of the year. They need guys. They just lost Melvin Ingram. Apparently he's going to Miami. That's a real thing. And they got their safety with Justin Reed, but they need help. They need edge rushers. They're going to go get Mafe. Also, it's a total pick by the Chiefs who always pick the wrong edge rusher. That's like their shtick. They're almost as bad as the Saints with this. The Saints hit on Hendrickson and Jordan and think they're like miracle workers with edge rushers. They took that kid out of Houston last year who I just don't get. And the same thing with the Chiefs. I think they're going to take Mafe here. I like the kid. I just have him as my 5th rated edge rusher or 6th. So I think the issue is no, he's my 7th actually behind Kostafsis. Yeah, 7th rated edge rusher. But I think the Chiefs are going to go get positioned there. They're not going to stretch here. And then after that, I, of course, we'll double up on these because it's the same team.
Yeah.
I have the Chiefs taking Sky Moore, who's the best available receiver.
Oh,
I think they need shifty guys. They need shifty guys to replace Tyreek Hill. They have Juju. They have McCall Hartman. They have Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's an absolute rocket. But they need another shifty guy who can improvise, and Sky Moore fits that bill.
yeah, I like that. I actually really like Boye Mafe. I would love to see him go in the first round. I would love an Ojabo fit here to the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm not actually going that direction. With the first pick, I agree with you. I think they go Sky Moore. It's not a great in terms of value. I feel like it's a little bit early for Sky Moore. I just feel like they're so desperate at receiver, and a guy like Sky Moore, just with his unique talent and abilities, I feel like they probably want a guy like Sky Moore. And then with their second pick, I feel like they go Kaiir Elam. They need a corner. Kaiir Elam is great. He's long. He can match up with. He could cover a guy like Devontae Adams. He's one of the few corners in this draft I feel like could cover someone like Devontae Adams, and then maybe Cortland Sutton if he breaks out with Russell Wilson. So maybe Mike Williams with Justin Herbert if he broke out like the way he broke out beginning of last season. I feel like Kaiir Elam would be a great pick for the Chiefs.
All right. I have one more trade. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. I thought about it. I'm like, this wouldn't work. I thought about it because I wrote it down. Like, wait, they're in division. They wouldn't make a trade because I had the Ravens trading back, but I said they wouldn't make a trade with the Bengals, obviously.
No, I would love that, but nah.
I know you love that, but I have the Bengals taking Zion Johnson out of Boston College, get more interior help. Yeah, just he's the best offensive lineman available right now, and they could just keep protecting Joey B. They have no corners available, so that they're not going to take one now. They thought they would have Elam available this late, and he won't. So they're just going to take lineman here.
Nice. I think actually, it's interesting because everyone's saying they need to take offensive line, but I feel like with the resources that they invested in offensive line this offseason, just adding so many free agents to their offensive line, I don't think that they go offensive line. I think the reason why they did that is to not pigeonhole themselves into needing to take an offensive line in this at the end of the first round, especially with the talent that's left. To me, Linderbaum's gone, Kenyon Green's gone, Zion Johnson's gone. The big offensive linemen they're all the good ones are gone. So I feel like they go into Kobe Dean here, who's the best player available. They have a good defense, but they don't have any guys. They don't have any dominating presences on their defense. I love that. And there are a few that could take over a game, could turn around the defense like Kobe Dean could. And I love Kobe Dean. I feel like he would be a great fit.
Oh yeah, like this. I think it's gonna be this year where there's a lot of guys in the second round, like a lot of those guys who should be first rounders, but his teams didn't need him need wise. I think Kobe Dean could be a mid second rounder again. He's one of those guys. I thought Philly was going to
because of his height.
I thought Philly was going to go after him, but once they went and got Kazir right, I was like, I guess they're passing. But at number 32,
last one,
I have the Detroit Lions getting their franchise quarterback, Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. Mr. Motor City himself loves him some Desmond Ridder. He is there, his guy. Like, holy smokes, it is just a great fit for them. I think it's a slam dunk for the Lions. They can get a guy who can maybe beat out Jared Goff at training camp or sits a couple games behind him or waits a year. But Desmond Ridder is a winner. He's versatile. He's mobile. He's got a good enough arm. He's great accuracy, great anticipation, can put the ball in a pinhole. He doesn't lack accuracy. He hits everything right. I think he's what everyone thinks Kenny Pickett is. I think he is he is going to be the winningest quarterback out of this draft. Besides the guy who I have going mid-second round, that is Mr. Matt Corral, obviously. But
yeah, you're not gonna hear complaints here. I'm a huge Desmond Ridder fan, but
Desmond Ridder and Matt Corral are my two most like go. They're gonna win. Carson Strong is my wild card. Like if he goes to a big play team, I think it's a huge thing for him. But yeah, so I have Desmond Ridder going to the Detroit Lions as the last pick of the first round. I think it's just a home run pick. Other than that, my other thing is like for the second round, like there's a lot of great talent. That's the biggest thing for me. I think a lot of teams need another. Okay. And like I was saying, unfortunately, Yuke's computer crapped out. So, unfortunately, he cannot finish his pick. But he texted me his pick. Yuke took Matt Corral out of Ole Miss to the Detroit Lions. I love that almost more, but that's what I want them to take. But I think that Desmond Ridder is like the love of Dan Campbell's life. I think he loves the fact that he's a winner in college. But ladies and gentlemen, that was our first mock draft of the year. Special shout out to Yuke. You can follow him at Belly not sorry, Belly Butte. Follow me at Belly Up Jared. You can follow Yuke at Yuke on NFL or Yuke at Yuke_NFL for all the best draft analysis. He's been writing for Belly for a few months now. He's pumped out more draft stuff than you can count. We hope you guys have a great week. Korner Booth Live, Korner Booth pregame, sorry, is back on Thursday, obviously, and we will have a fun time with that. We'll probably talk more on where Honey Badger's going to go, because apparently there's another team besides Philadelphia in the running for him. There's possibly Melvin Ingram going somewhere. A couple free agency signings should be done by Thursday, as well as we're going to have playoff basketball ready to rock and roll. Go Wolves, as they had their playing game tonight. But hope you guys have a great week, and we'll catch you all on the flip. Peace.